Well, this was a highly anticipated trip to the town of my origin. I was born here, and this beach I'm sitting on, a bar on a beach, you can probably hear some music, is actually the main event. But I didn't know that, I could not know it, and it's not even relevant or important to the, well, not enough to what I apprehended, what I was anxious about about this trip. So the trip was after decades of not being here, not coming here, coming this year at my oldest and my largest in terms of my size, and that's important because that's part of my work, my body, my relationship to my body, my journey with my body. And part of the journey was that I was considered when I was, not when I was just born, but I mean in my youth I was considered like really beautiful and attractive, and it was part of my identity, became part of my identity. And then things happened, and I started putting on weight to avert the gaze, to uninvite the gaze, the unwelcome gaze. And it kind of stayed. I'm not going to psychologize it or therapize. I'm not going to do therapy on myself about this, but became very much my new identity, my safe identity. The larger me, the less attractive according to convention me, and I felt safe from the gaze, from safe from everything I didn't really want or invite, in terms of my own space, in terms of how people relate to me. So the weight protected me from that. But there was a big downside to that, which was that I was now bullied, maybe a strong word, but it's close enough that it came as a word, about my weight. I was again inviting a different kind of gaze, but it was a safer gaze. It wasn't desire, it was judgment. That's the gaze I got, and it was easier to handle, definitely. It still hurt and it created a different kind of wounding, but the judgment was like, oh my god, you put on weight, you let yourself go. It's like the biggest crime a woman can do in the part of the world I came from. And so the judgment came, and like I say, it felt still safer, and I sort of shrugged it off or joked around it. It wasn't ever malicious, it was more like people worried about me. Are you, not are you okay in any genuinely caring way, but like worried that, like, oh no, you don't want to go down that road, come on, you're a beautiful young woman, you should not let yourself go, that kind of worry, right? The toxic kind of worry, let's say. And so fast forward decades and I'm back here. Half of these people, some of them are even gone. The other third or whatever is like gone, as in away as well. Like I have emigrated, they emigrated too. And then whoever and whatever's left, I have actually seen a couple from a distance. I didn't really stop and say hello. But I'm coming to my point. And so my anxiety, major anxiety, was that I will be facing this judgment. But I never really tested myself at this weight, being the largest that I have ever been and the oldest. Combined together gives a particularly, conventionally speaking, an attractive body. But I never was in this, like I say, setup where it all started. I was on English beaches, on Spanish beaches, on other beaches where I also felt my body didn't fit necessarily, but what I didn't realize until I came here is that I feel the same confidence that I eventually built, and I spoke to about in my last video, which I suppose you really like, I highly recommend you should watch. I decided for a while, probably unconsciously, and then eventually I clocked onto it and I my mind caught up with what was going on, that I have stepped out of a desirability frame, meaning I have refused to, not even refused to, I mean at some point I have been refusing to be desirable, and by putting on weight, right? But the sting there was still about the judgment. But then eventually even that started not to bother me, generally speaking, judgment versus a very particular judgment, and I'm getting to that. So the Spanish, French, Portuguese, Italian beaches were the healing ground of general judgment. I eventually just became comfortable in my body just the way it is. It fluctuated in weight and shape, therefore, right? But either way, it was whatever it was, right? I was just, even at its worst, I was learning to be very comfortable, and I became eventually in my 50s. I mean, it's taken that long. And so the last test was to, even though I didn't see this as a test, but I wasn't testing myself, I just knew I was going to feel tested. That's what I mean. I didn't design this visit to be tested. It was more about closure of other sorts to do with my mum, who died last year, and our connection to the place and all that stuff, right? And what I realized is that I feel exactly the same. Like, I don't care. Like, how others look at me, what others think of me. I don't care. I do not care the same way I haven't cared for quite a while now. Like on those other beaches, on English beach this summer, on Spanish and another, I don't know what other countries we went last year or whatever. England always, there's always an English beach in the summer. And then I was like, okay, well, this feels great. But then what I realized is that the thing I'm still like feeling an inner recoil about is if someone I know from my past, from those, even someone I remember commenting when I was young, or even if not that any of those particular people, but anyone else who is from my childhood, or who I actually like, I have caring feelings for, because we grew up together, we have history, whoever, like those are, I know who these people are, it doesn't matter for you, but just there is a batch of people that I could be bumping into, while I'm here for the next few days, and since we've been here, that could make the same comment. And that is what still makes me, let's say, angry, because that is definitely what I feel. But there may be other stuff there that I'll just stick with anger, because, and I was like, well, what is that about? Because I don't care about anyone else, so it's to do with them. And yes, the potentially some of them are actually the original wounders, but that's not the point. That's not what it is, because I genuinely don't care for their judgment in itself. I don't. They can think it. I can't care less. What I can't or don't know what to do about, I haven't tested yet, as in I don't know, maybe I will have a way if it happened while I'm here, and I will certainly report back on that. But as it stands at the moment, I don't have a clue how I'm going to respond to someone who I've given my kindness, even this time around on this encounter, or in the past, who still thinks it's okay to talk to me like that. Should they choose to talk to me like that this time around? This is all hypothetical, obviously. None of it has happened, although it has happened enough times in the past, in my 30s, even 40s, when I did used to come here more regularly. So I'm not talking out of my bum, as they say. I have evidence, but it's old evidence, and it could well be out of date. So I don't know that yet. But what I'm getting at is, like, what do you do with a person who you've given credit, like you trusted that they are just, well, I should know better not to trust, because I have seen, in general, culturally speaking, this is just a norm. But still, like, I'm not gonna, if I bump into them, I'm not gonna go like just a facade, like a wall or something, because I'm preempting. No, I'm gonna treat them as if, well, as I would genuinely outside of that storyline, that I still have no evidence this time around that it's gonna happen. So I would be, as I would genuinely be happy to see them and be, chatting pleasantly, and, all of that would be happy times, right? And they could slip in the middle of all of that. They could just like deliver that line, and I would want to like just say, fuck you. You do not talk to me like that. You do not talk to any woman like that. You don't talk to any human like that. You don't comment on their body in such ways unless you have something nice to say to me. Do not bother. That might well be what I say, but none of it feels, I don't know, it's like I ideally wouldn't want to give them the time of day, and yet I just did, right? Because I don't care, it's like I don't know, it's like I care. What is that? It's like, I think it's about being complicit, or unless I react, in fact, like I just said I am condoning something I absolutely do not. So maybe I have actually answered my own question. I genuinely didn't know what I should do in that situation, which was the source of so much anxiety. And I think that however I looked at it, I was in my, as I'm imagining the scenarios as one does, right? I always felt this way was just like engaging with something and someone I don't really want to engage. But since I am engaged in that imaginary situation of bumping into them, I might as well just draw a line. Well, this is what happens when I speak. I actually arrive at new discoveries. So thank you for thank you this video, and whoever is benefiting from it, I hope you're enjoying it. I'm not done. Hold on, don't leave just as yet. And so that was that. So that's not happened, and like I say, next time in a couple of weeks when I'm back, I'll report what happened. But it's almost, that's like the last frontier in terms of my own issues regarding this whole humongous subject that is my life, as in my life has really been my relationship with my body in one way or another. And so that hasn't happened. That's just like what I anticipated, and it, like I said, might still happen but hasn't yet. What's happened is that the main event so far is this beach. And this is the beach of my childhood. You know when coaches have that thing when they say, imagine your happy place. When I was asked that question, I went straight to this beach. Back in my day, it was just plain beach with plain sand and plain sea. And so 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning, there was hardly anyone, maybe one other person or two the most. And the sea's crystal clear. Even like today, where everywhere there's some kind of pollution and just other beaches in the same area, we've been, have some kind of crap basically floating. This one doesn't, never has. As in, it's always been like that, because there is like a fresh spring water just nearby, and then in the first thing in the morning when there's not a lot of activity, it's like a pool. It's like that's how still it is, and it's always a bit cooler, and outside is like 30 plus. It's already 30 plus probably, and it's heaven. So that was my happy place, always, as in, once I realized that, it became just a go-to place whenever I wanted that sense of safety and calm and serenity. And yeah, so like I said, when we arrived here, what was the most astonishing thing that I have never, it makes perfect sense, it just never occurred to me, not even being someone who read since I could read, but like more serious literature since my teens, let's say, with more stunning descriptions, how literary fiction can be just gorgeous. I never heard this or seen, read this anywhere, which is that as soon as I stepped into the water, I dropped my towel, like my clothes, in my bikini, getting in. Every step of the way, I was like transported. Well, it's not transported. Like I recognized the seabed, and that made the stepping into it like stepping into a portal. That's what I mean, transported. Even though there was nothing spooky or woo-woo about it, it was just me literally being hyper aware how the way the water shimmers, that it creates little, shapes, which is water everywhere, but underneath it is the sand. Well, in this case, more like pebbles and sort of granular. There is some sand as well. But then how the next layer is all the green stuff with the rock or bigger pebbles or boulders, right, with some moss on it. That I like I've been under diving, but it's not diving like in a sense of with any equipment, just so eyes open and just free diving. Is that with no equipment, right? Just my bikini. That's what people did in Europe, I suppose. I don't know. In the 80s and 90s, none of that. The suits or whatever. So I have seen that bottom, and I recognize it as I'm walking into the sea. And then, as if by, like I said, that's what I mean. I was back in that moment. Well, not even moment, in that time zone or that time line. And I entered the water, which I kind of, the way I used to do every time back in those days on this beach, and only on this beach, like without a fail, which is like just like a dolphin, kind of like a choir, just like sinking and then just head in and then coming out after a few strokes under the water, under the surface, I mean. And then as I was under the water, is that the expression, under the water, under the surface, I could just, the colors I recognize, like I say, how the shapes are changing, so you're getting deeper and it gets a bit darker. It wasn't emotional. This is what I mean. I expected this to be, I think I said it at the beginning, I genuinely expected this to be a major roller coaster, emotional roller coaster, given the time lapse since I've been here and all the changes in my life and in my physical appearance. I briefed my husband on how, to just kind of cope with me, and I will do my best to do whatever we're here. Let me see. Yeah, almost 6 days. Not a single thing. And in terms of internal drama, just occasional emotionality. And even though everything I'm describing to, however actually beautiful and stunning it is, like I am in awe of the experience. I'm beyond grateful that I'm given to experience something in a way that it's a history. It's going back in time. It's history. I think that's the word that I genuinely never cared for. I'm not traditionalist. I don't I respect history. I'm not, but I don't care for it myself. It's not of interest. And personally, I think past should be left in the past. Obviously, learn your lessons from it and be in the present and maybe future, but past, nah, not my thing. So in all these layers of my relation to the history, I just like telling you that it's not something I am. Can you hear this? This is a rare occurrence on this beach as well, unless there is a major south wind, it's called, that brings big waves, and then they come here as well. But this is such a calm water. It's a bay. You will have seen it at the start of the video. I think I'll bring it in there at some point of this video, the actual beach itself. And these waves only happen, the ones you just maybe heard, I don't know, when a tourist boat that's quite far out there, but in its wake leaves all those the wake, and then it leaves the waves, and then they eventually reach you, the boat is gone and then the waves come. Then it's like, where is this coming from? Anyway, but if you're a local, or you're just good at science or something. Anyway, I digress. Yes, this experience of going onto my beach and recognizing it in ways I didn't imagine, and then what it gave me, my body, in a way I remember it. And this is not about beauty per se or the fitness in terms of looking conventionally attractive. it's like all of those concerns. This is from the days when this wasn't even an issue. This beach was big and important to me for years after the experiences that created the wounding with my body and then me putting on weight. This beach still figured in my life, not as a wounding place, but just I was still coming to this beach. I still lived in this town. But my memories, even when I thought of the happy place, are before that. It's like early teens, like the age of 14, 15, actually 16. So yeah, so this beach is actually mostly associated pre-wounding, and my body feels weightless, like at the moment I step into the sea, utterly weightless. And the way I swim is the way I used to swim, which, I swim like we swim as we swim, but there are certain things that I used to do here because I was into not a ballet, but I mean synchronized swimming kind of style of just playing in water, and it's all coming to me, and it doesn't feel like a performance, it doesn't feel like anything, it just feels my body wants to move in that way on this beach. The first day we were at a different beach because we didn't know how, and don't worry about it, I'm not gonna go into the logistics, but we weren't sure if we could get to this beach because things have changed. So the first beach we went to is also a beach I knew from my youth and all that, but none of this. It's like like over there on that other beach, I was the current Maya. The way I swim, I'm a strong swimmer, all of that is fine, but my current swimming style, if there is such a thing really to call it a style. It was only when I got to this beach that I just all of a sudden remembered all the ways that I used to swim. And it's like my body just wants to move in that way here. And it's just so wonderful. Like it's such a grace in this experience for me. Like I feel graceful. I always did when I was on this beach when I was younger. In the water, right? Particularly, I'm not a graceful type. I'm a bit of a tomboy. But the moment I would go swimming, and here in particular, like I say, I would turn into the most graceful human being. And that's how I've been swimming for 6 days or 5 days now, since the first day we went on to the other beach. So that's my story of the return, part 1. And I feel so grateful for the part 1. We shall see if there's anything else in store later on. I mean, this will not ever be taken away from me, this experience, this realization. But yeah, it might change in different ways the rest of my time here.